Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Sofa Series Artist Spotlight. Today, with me is the incredible producer, soprano, experimental musician, Aliana de la Guardia from Haverhill, Massachusetts. Hello!
Hello.
Thanks for joining
Hi.
me.
So happy to be able to do it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, get us started on the journey of Aliana. Where are you from? And how did you come to Boston, then Haverhill?
Yeah. Well, I'm born and raised in New Jersey. My parents
She's
are
a classy
Cuban. They
dame.
immigrated.
She's a classy
Yeah.
woman.
So my parents are Cuban. They immigrated in the 60s and the 70s. So I was born in New Jersey, Jersey girl all the way. And then started performing in middle school and high school, which led me to really love classical music and classical singing. And originally I did a lot more acting in theater and stuff, and then through chorus and music classes, I really uh, started to love like opera and classical music. And for me, opera was the way to be an actor and a classical singer at the same
Hmm.
time. So I was like, you know home run, let's
Yeah.
do that.
Did you have like a really good like music teacher in public school? Yeah. Yeah. There's always
Yeah, I
one. Yeah. What's their
so
name?
that so her name was Susan Porter Tall. I'm still in touch with her from time to time, and when she lives in New York now, and whenever I go into New York, I always try to make time to go see her. Um, I was just like one of those kids that like I didn't like know what to do. Like I didn't know what to do with my life. I just
Yeah.
liked performing, and
Yeah.
that seemed like the place for me. And she really steered me towards voice lessons. And she was a great teacher, and she really challenged us in like chorus class. She also taught the string orchestra. Um, she's a cool, interesting lady,
Yeah.
and so she was like a positive female role model for me at the time. And I think that if it wasn't for her, I'd still be kind of just like meandering all over the place, maybe trying to be like a different kind of performer. I don't know.
Yeah. Or something
So,
completely different, you know.
or something complete. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So you ended up
yeah.
at the BOCO, the Boston Conservatory.
I ended up at the Boston Conservatory. That was 2001.
Yeah, man.
So I went in 2001, like, yeah, that's how old I am now. So I went in 2001. I met Yo, what, 2005? Four? Five.
Five. That's when I
Five,
got
yeah.
there.
Yeah, and so I was there for my bachelor's and my master's, and
Yeah.
that was a really great time for me, and it was really formative,
Yeah.
and I think I stayed for my master's because Sanford Sylvan came in, and I really felt like there was a lot I could learn from him. He
Mm-hmm.
was also a very positive mentor and role model for me, someone who did both a lot of new music and traditional
Mm-hmm.
um, classical opera, and that was sort of like the beginning of everything. Starting to do
Mm-hmm.
new music there led to guerrilla opera, led to like everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Sanford, he's like I don't know, he's like this beautiful, wonderful little flash, this little burst that just we it happened to happen at the right time
Hmm.
for me, for you, that
Yeah.
he is what drew me to the conservatory. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna go. But my my teacher was like, Sanford Sylvan is there, you gotta go.
Yeah.
You'd be stupid not to. You just got the
Yeah.
job. You gotta go. And they were right. Yeah, he was just this incredible voice for an advocate for contemporary music, and not one to just sort of like shy away from it. And bless our teachers. They did the best that they could. I think Becky, Dr. Folsom, she's like, listen, I don't understand any of this shit, but
you know, she's still my teacher, and she
yeah,
still says that,
you
and I'm
know,
like, don't worry about it.
yeah, yeah, it's fine. It's
but
fine. You don't have to get it. It's cool.
no, and I think I want her because she doesn't get it. So she really just comes at you from a pedagogical
Yeah.
point of view, and I think that my technique is that much more solid because she doesn't compare it to the crazy stuff that I do. She's just like, this is your solid classical technique, and you're a singer, and you got to keep it up. And I'm like, damn, you're right.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, yeah, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So talk a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the little seeds of guerrilla opera and who was the crew. Start like name dropping the people and how did it come about?
Yeah. So the guerrilla opera came about because, like, honestly, our friend Rudy Royan wanted to write an opera.
Yeah.
And, we had been performing his music for a long time. And, I always thought that his vocal music was like above and beyond everything. Like, it was
Mm-hmm.
just incredible music.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of us were like really encouraging him to write an opera.
Yeah.
So he decided he was going to do it, and him and Mike sort of like just kind of like uh, grabbed up the usual crew, and that
Yeah.
included you. And
Well,
so,
so to be clear, Mike Williams, he's a percussionist and your
yeah,
husband and part of the founding crew of Geo.
yeah. So really, the founding crew was like Rudy and Mike, and then
Mm-hmm.
he got me, and then we got Kent, and then we got you, and that was like, to me, that was like the core foundation of
Yeah.
what made us, right? And then everybody else was sort of like guest artists,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the people we would call on the scene. And that was that was great. It happened really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and but that's why they called us specifically. Like, they wanted people who could work fast, that were really dedicated to the work. Um, and he wrote that opera fast. We put it up really super fast.
Just like a
Sally
month.
Stunkel was great. Sally
Yeah.
Stunkel was great. She staged it really fast, and she like understood the material. And that first one was a real like learning process, because
Mm-hmm.
we performed in operas, right? But we had never like produced one
Right.
before.
Right.
And that one, as shoestring as it was still like a momentous learning process, because like I'd never written like a press release or done like communications, or you know what I mean. I,
Yeah.
I just get the music and I learn it, and then all of a sudden, like, we're in this situation where we're all wearing a million hats. It was such a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was an incredible experience, and like the experience that led us to to want to do it more, you know.
Mm-hmm. And you're still kind of holding true to the ethos. It's two productions, two commissions every year, right?
For the
That's
most part,
yeah.
sometimes we do one, sometimes we do two. I mean, we don't have like a set like season model, which I
Mm-hmm.
guess is like what's a little bit more experimental about the group. It's like, when we have something and it's ready, we present it, and we
Mm-hmm.
do something every season. But whether we have one or two really just depends on wwhether or not the pieces are ready
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah,
like get out
getting
there.
composers to meet some deadlines can be like pulling teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I've canceled shows before. Like, composers
Really?
have been, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Some composers have been so late, and I'm just like, you know what? Nope,
You
cancel.
can't do that.
No, and that's not fair to like the
Yeah.
performers. And then there's another thing too, like, especially when you're working with, more experimental composers, music that's not like traditionally romantic or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, is when you throw together something really fast,
Mm-hmm.
an audience might not necessarily know the difference between what is a bad performance and what is bad music. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like? So for me, when I cancel something like that, I'm actually protecting the composer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to present their music in a way that doesn't present it in the best way.
Right. How do you guys seek out composers? I mean, at the beginning it was like these are all the people we know. Let's write some
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
Well,
And but now
it's
you've put out a pretty big net.
we did. We put out a pretty big net, and it's still a little bit like that, though. You know, it's still a little bit like these are the people we know. We really, really love them, and their music is amazing. So write us something, right?
Yeah.
And then we had these different things. Like we did two different residencies at Brandeis
Mm.
University, and that was sort of casting a wider net to expose composers to our way of working, which is
Mm.
unique but also really fast.
Mm.
Um, so, and I think it's important to work fast sometimes. It really forces you to make decisions. And and then through our commissioning from the people that we know, like the people that we know recommended us to other people. And
Mm.
so that's kind of how we got, to Ken Wano and Hannah Lash. I think Adam Roberts too. All these amazing
Yeah.
composers that heard of us through word of mouth, through recommendations from their friends.
Yeah. Are you still like dabbling in like bel canto?
I no.
No. No.
I mean, I sing it like in my studio,
Yeah.
occasionally for for Dr. Folsom.
Yeah.
Uh, so every now and then to like keep up my technique, I pull something out. I really read through it, and I love it. At
Mm.
the end of the day, I'm a singer, and I really love to sing, and
Yeah.
I would like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But like in terms of people to hire me to do traditional or
That
whatever.
ship has
No.
sailed. Yeah. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I did like a turn of the screw,
Oh yeah,
and that's
that's
like as traditional as I get.
right. That's right. I mean, that shit's 100 years old, you know?
It's
That's
okay. It's kind of a
old
100 years old.
music.
Yeah, yeah. But even even like the review that I got was like, and Aliana is in this. I was like,
Like, yeah. I went to school for this, man. What do you
surprise.
expect? Yeah. What do you expect, y'all? I
Yeah.
wonder for you, like, how did the like exposure to contemporary music come about for you? Was it just like,
Hmm.
was it something that like you heard? I don't know. For me, it was the piece. It was this Arvo Pärt piece that I heard in high school, and I was like, "What?" And that started the diving through the stacks in the
Right.
library. Like, well, what's this? What's that? What's this? What? How did that seed get planted for you?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, and I think about that all the time, actually. When I think it must have been through one of these like repertoire classes in undergrad,
Hmm.
because I think it was like in English English song rep or something. I was assigned this song, and you have to like research the composer or whatever.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and I saw that the composer was still alive, and I thought, wow,
Oh yeah.
which is stupid. It's completely stupid because I
Yeah.
was in music school,
Yeah.
like with composers.
Yeah.
So the fact that that was surprising to me is
Well,
like
I
I
mean,
don't even know what to say about
that
that,
speaks a lot to like to this sort of like we all have this kind of collective understanding of classical music that is a thing that happened.
Yeah,
And it's still novel. This idea that that it is a living live thing that composers
that's
exist still,
absolutely.
and that it's even in like bigger institutional programming, right? Like the symphony, they have to sandwich the new work in between the master works so that people don't
Mhm.
leave. Like they have to
Mhm.
trick people into listening to new music. It's still very much like this cultural thing of like, I don't know, I'm probably not gonna like it. It's like
Yeah.
that's not true. You'll
Yeah.
probably like it just fine. And you know what? Some of it does suck, sure, but give it a shot. You know.
Yeah, but some people thought Beethoven sucked when he had his premiere, so it's
And those people are
whether or not
losers.
yeah, but whether or not something sucks,
Yeah.
you can't tell now. You can only tell like 50 years into the future, so
No, I can tell if
it
something
won't.
sucks.
Yeah, but the opinion might change.
True. That is true.
Yeah,
That is true. Uh,
the common opinion might change. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
try to reserve my opinion as to what sucks and what doesn't. I just say, well, does that speak to me? No. Is it
No.
for me? No. could be for somebody else, but you know.
Yeah.
But so it really just started there. I saw this composer a lot was alive. I wrote to her a letter. She wrote me back a letter.
Oh.
Yeah, and
How quaint.
so I I know. So I thought that was pretty fun. And then after that, I got really into looking for music that was in Spanish. And I found this composer, Lorenzo Palomo, and I saw that he was still alive. And so it was just sort of like in my mind
Mm.
to look for new music, you know, whether it was music that was new to me that I had never learned before, or music by a composer that was still alive.
Mm.
And so it was really through looking through these cultural things. And then, like one day I was sitting in chorus, and a friend of mine, Felicity Salmon, was looking for extra singers in this piece that was by Rudy.
Ah.
And she asked the person next to me, she was like, "Hey, do you want to be in a new piece, blah, blah, blah?" And the person was like, "No."
No.
And then she looked at me and was like, "Hey, you could be in the new piece." And I was like,
Sign
"Sure."
me up.
And then the rest is history. And I sung a lot, and I've sung a lot of Rudy's music.
Yeah, you
Uh,
were like the Rudy interpreter extraordinaire, you know? Like
yeah,
when
yeah.
oh shoot, well, I can't remember the solo that he wrote for you. Um the one that Sandy staged in the opera scenes program.
Oh, Lust.
Yeah, Lust. That was
Lust.
that for me. So like I had sort of like been tangentially interested in contemporary music as my like dirty little secret opera girl. You know, can't tell anybody for fear of being shunned. And so like you had done this thing and was like, oh yeah, like, it's good, it's
Hmm.
juicy, it's dark, it's sexy, it's
Oh,
like horror,
so dark.
it's dark, super dark, but it was like so thrilling. It was like what had really like thrilled me about seeing grand opera is that like I don't think that grand opera is this like dazzling glittery thing. I think it is dark. It is like
Mm.
really gruesome and really grotesque, and that was like for me it was like, oh wow, we're going into some really really deep dark wells, and this is really interesting. And so that this piece was like, it was like for me it was like Verdi. It was like this work of standard repertoire that was that explored extra musical sounds or vocal utterances as part of the kind of madness, right? I was always a little
Hmm.
bit put off by the mad scene, and how it's a really kind of a gruesome display, and yet it's these like floated high notes and this like, the little glass what is it, the little glass harp, like these really beautiful
Hmm.
wistful things. And for me, I was like, finally, this is like what opera is. It, like, I don't know, it really did it for me. So like, were
It was
you
gritty and visceral.
yeah, yeah, were you like involved at all in that composition process? Do you take an active role when working with somebody like Rudy, who you've worked with closely?
I think, well, at the time that Rudy wrote Lust for me, I had already sung a lot of his music, so
Mm-hmm.
he really understood what my voice could do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the same time, like if I was uncomfortable doing something, I would have said something. It's funny because when I work with composers, I have this video that I made that basically like demonstrates what I can do, what I'm comfortable doing. My voice is different than it
Yeah,
was. Like
of
I don't
course.
have like the high notes that I have high notes, but I don't have like the high notes that I
Yeah.
used to have. You know what I mean? So it's like
You
sort
mean
of
like your
explaining,
young little like 20-year-old totally
squeaking out an E flat,
spry, yeah.
screaming my brains out. No.
Yeah.
No.
Things
And then
change.
so yeah, so I have this video, and I like sing,
Yeah.
I sing and I demonstrate and I say, well, this is my lyrical voice, and I'll sing a little bit of an aria and I'll vocalize and I'll like show how it works.
Smart.
Like I like to approach high notes like this. If you climb it up, I'm gonna get really tight in my throat and I won't be able, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just the demonstrating. And then if there's any extended techniques that I particularly like, I demonstrate those ones that I can execute consistently,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Like what kinds of extended
and
techniques do you really like?
I mean, I'm an actor, so I love incorporating like speaking and theatrical sound.
Yeah.
Fry never bothers me.
Me neither.
Uh, Inversive singing, reasonably it is great, and I love it. You know, there's like clicking sounds and stuff you can do that's really super
Mm-hmm.
fun. And then, in this video too, kind of like describing what sounds are better amplified versus ones that you can
Acoustic.
perform acoustically. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. God, that's an important. Gosh,
All of which I
everybody should
like.
have
Yeah,
like this little portfolio video. Here's what's healthy and here's what's
yeah.
abusive. And we got
It's
to
like
know where that
20.
line is.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes ish,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a little long for a video, but it's
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to become fairly comprehensive. So,
Like how do you sort of navigate that little territory where a composer maybe wants to insist that you do something that is maybe abusive? Do you consider it? Do you put your foot down? Do you have to have a conversation? Like what is that process like for you?
I've never really been in that situation
That's
where
good.
a composer demands something abusive, and if there is something that's a little bit aggressive that I know that I can't sustain, I try to come up with alternatives. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
say, well, that's not really possible in my particular voice, but I can do these other things that maybe have the similar kind of effect,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Oh, that's
But
smart.
yeah, maybe I'm lucky. I've worked with some great people, so
Yeah, maybe that's it too. When you run your own company, you get to decide, right?
yeah. And even in situations where I'm hired, to do some more experimental works that I've never been, like, no one's ever been belligerent with me.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
don't, I don't, I don't know that I would like. Yeah, and at the end of the day, like if they are belligerent and you do what you do in rehearsals or whatever, like once it comes time to performance,
Exactly.
you're
I'm in
gonna
the
get
driver's
what you're gonna
seat.
get.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you don't be rude to your performers,
Right?
right?
Lesson
Yeah.
number one, don't be a
Hmm.
dick.
Yep.
Uh, just in general,
Yeah.
just don't be like that.
Hmm.
So, what, as a producer though, like, how do you freaking manage your time, dude? It's like you teach, you star in all of the operas
So far.
feature you, and you are the producer, the executive director, artistic director. You wear still so many hats. How do
Yeah.
you, when you're in the rehearsal process, how do you divide your time so that you can really, really, really invest your time in the work and material and perform it to the best of your
Yeah.
ability?
Well, when I'm outside of the rehearsal room, it really has to do with time management, knowing that what I can do on certain days. So, like for example, the days that I teach are generally days that I don't do extensive process practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then but in the rehearsal room, like when I'm there for musical rehearsal, like I really try to be there for musical rehearsal, and I try to put everything else outside of my mind. And actually, I enjoy the rehearsal process so that when I'm in there, I find that it's easy to focus because that's the part that I really like, and I consider that my reward for all of the
Yeah.
hard work, for all of the hard work in producing and sitting at the computer and stupid
It's like
bookkeeping and
all the dumbass
grant writing.
emails. So many
Ugh,
emails.
all the emails.
Can you imagine before? Like it would just be phone tree, but now it's just all like
Oh
chasing
my
people
god.
via email. Hate it. Hate it. Yeah, I
And
like the
sometimes you
rehearsal.
have to follow up with a text and then you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
So so bad, that you feel like you're invading their space, but it's been like a week and you're like, I need some answers.
Come on, I got a
Yeah,
deadline.
yeah,
I don't know. I enjoy the rehearsal process like so, 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 so much, and I find that sometimes that. So yeah, granted, girl opera does move quickly, but it moves quickly for opera. Like, and it's like a couple of weeks music rehearsals, a couple of weeks staging, and then bam, it's up, right?
boom. Yeah.
which is fast. But in new music in general, like in chamber music, it's like I just have had experiences of getting a score and having to perform it like 2 weeks later, and of
Ugh.
course it's like really fucking hard. You know, they don't throw us any little bones there, and
Mm-mm.
so I found that like the rehearsal process is really it. You know, it's like there's only so much you can do in practicing, but once you get in the room with all of the other people, everything changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like this like whole vibrant new energy, this like dialogue that is just really, I don't know, I find it thrilling. I'm just a
It's
dweeb,
the
I guess.
best.
It's the
It's the
best.
best.
So how are you all, and like how is guerrilla opera kind of navigating this ongoing storm and this ever increasingly worsened storm? How are you
Yeah.
guys dealing? Are you moving productions to go virtual? Like what's happening in your world?
I think to some degree we're still deciding what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't. Our constituents have not put any pressure on us to do.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to see that we're well and that we're engaged in our art form, and that to me leaves us uh, a big uh, with a big canvas of stuff that we could do.
Yeah.
So we've been having a lot of ensemble meetings,
Mm-hmm.
to just like garner everyone's feelings, to feel out where everybody's at. We're sort of in this situation where we are an ensemble and we have uh, certain people that we always call, and we're not we're not the kind of group that's all of a sudden just going to hire whoever to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's opinions are very important to us in the leadership of the ensemble. So, we were all really bummed, and I think that to an extent, for like 2 months, we were like grieving
Yeah.
the loss of this art form that brings us together, literally as people, but also that connects us in our interests as artists and in our performance practice, right? And still, to me, like doing everything over Zoom has not like fulfilled that need.
Yeah.
So you know, for me, like developing these operas is a communal thing, and I want to do it in a
Mm-hmm.
group, like in a room together,
Mm-hmm.
and to talk about, because as we rehearse, we talk about the music and we decide things, and you can't do that with everybody like listening to a click track and just like laying down their part.
Right.
Like I
Right.
don't want to treat our artists like session people just like coming in to lay down some tracks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you know, that's just not our way. you know? So I think what we're doing, we have these things that we're calling COVID experiments, which are just like little ideas
Yeah.
in short form.
Yeah.
Like right now, on Friday, there's one premiering where we're experimenting with a puppeteer and we're doing Milton Babbitt's Waltzer in the House. And that piece, it's
Aww.
so cute, and it's literally 2.5 minutes long. And like, that's the experiment.
Oh, I love
It's like,
it.
can we do this 2.5 minute long piece? Can we do it with a puppeteer? Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the experiment. The first experiment was, it was like the end of April where I first had the idea to do like something.
Yeah.
And so we put together poetry and music, and it was like a combination of Songs of Innocence, William Blake, and duets by Bartok, you know. And then I like literally just read the poetry, and then the violinist played duets with herself,
Yeah.
high movie together. And I was like, you know what? That's an experiment.
That's a
Boom.
thing.
Number one. Yeah. And so the way I perceive these to go is that these experiments sort of like follow us throughout this whole period while we can't be performing live necessarily. And so when we can slowly start to perform live again, you'll see the experiments start to change.
Yeah.
And so they like become emboldened as we become emboldened to like go back out into the public.
Yeah, it's that's beautiful. It's like a really clever way to kind of consider the loss of public performance, or in person performance. It's yeah, because singers, we're super spreaders. So
We are
if you
super
got it,
spreaders.
it's gonna go about 20 feet in front of you. It's the whole point of singing
Yep.
opera. And so it's going to be, that harsh reality that it's going to be a while before multiple singers can be in a room together. That is bumming me out. So trying
Oh
to
my God,
find.
I can't.
I
It's
know.
like
I know. It's just like that's it. It's like.
yeah, and I have thoughts about, you know, part of like the artistry of being a classical singer is that you produce all these overtones in your body, which is
Mhm.
like magical,
It's
right?
magic.
You produce so much sound and it just comes organically from your body, right? Through all this training and the shaping of the inside and
And
all this stuff. And in
mhm.
addition to that, you send it out into the room and you capture the overtones in the room, right? Which further amplify your voice, which makes our voices seem powerful and massive, right?
But
And
then
you
the
replicate
most
that
important is
in
the
digital
person,
form.
like the person in the room being able to
Yeah.
like then feel it in their bodies. That's like that is the
How
connection. That is fucking
Yes,
rad.
how amazing is it when you go to like go to see someone live and you hear this like bass or like this bass
And it just
baritone that has this like
yeah,
rumble in their voice that just like
cuts
hits
ya.
you because you feel it, like you feel the vibrations, like
Yeah,
their voice actually shakes you,
yeah,
because of all of this.
yeah,
And I think I'm just like I'm still in grief for the loss of that.
yeah,
There's it's like going to a rock concert live and like you can feel those subwoofers,
yeah,
like they they move you and your legs are shaky and
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
amazing.
It's,
That's what we lost.
yeah. We're
Boo. Oh,
screw you,
Gorilla Opera also.
COVID.
Yeah, we have a watch party coming up soon.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
We have
this
a
interview is going to air Thursday, so the watch party is then technically today.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So what time? Give us the deets.
Yeah, so we're good. It's gonna be 6 p.m. EST, and it's gonna be our 2010 production of Heart of a Dog, which
Yeah,
Leslie premiered in 2000, what,
Marfa,
seven?
my girl.
So, so yeah, so that was an incredible production for us. It was the first one where we really like transformed the space and all the production value like really kicked up a notch.
Mm,
And yeah, and it was like really a turning point in terms of what Guerrilla Opera was able to accomplish
yeah,
production wise. And then it was just so inventive, and then the whole cast was just like really like perfect, like
yeah.
everybody was just like magnetic in there. So yeah,
Awesome.
this is like one of our favorite productions, and we're like super excited to share it with everybody.
All right, so everybody tune into the watch party, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then so all of the information you'll is on the website Gorilla Opera.
Yep, it's up
Mm.
on our website. We have a Facebook event up too,
All
and
right,
yeah,
we'll
you
spread the
can
word.
sign up. Yeah, if you sign up on our Eventbrite page, then we're gonna send you like a special email with some like quarantining ideas and a little bit of
Ah,
extra info.
cute. All right, well, thank you so much, Aliana. It has been an immense pleasure to talk with you again and see your beautiful face. Thank you so much
Yay!
for taking the time to chat and for putting together your beautiful improvisation for the Sofa series. It's really, really lovely. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.